Hi, my name is David Mackenzie. I'm the director of Fuze. Fuze is a kind of mashup of an unexploded bomb movie and a heist movie starring these beautiful people. I had an idea. I was mixing a film, or no, doing the music for a film in Berlin, and then a volcano erupted in Iceland, and it took me 5 days to get back home to Glasgow. So I had a lot of time to myself, and I just had this idea about mixing those two genres up and playing with tension and hopefully a kind of sort of cinematic, kinetic sort of purity. And that's sort of where it came from. And then I met my friend Ben Hopkins and said, "Do you want to try and write the script?" And he did. And it kind of, I mean, he really ran with the ball in terms of turning it into what it is, And then we ran with the ball when we were shooting, improvising a lot and playing with it. But yeah, it was a really quite nice process.
Yeah, I play Susanna Greenfield, who's a chief superintendent in the police force in London. And we meet her at the very beginning of her day. The film sort of takes place over sort of, almost real time, 8 hours of a very intense day. And she really gets alerted that there's this bomb scare in London from this World War II bomb. And she ends up becoming sort of the lead police officer in the control center, running gold, as they would say in the Met, in terms of running the response to what that would be, in terms of coordinating the army and the bomb disposal unit coming in, and also making sure that civilians are evacuated. So initially, it's sort of a regular day in the London police force, except, obviously for her, things get incredibly intense, and she has a huge amount of responsibility. That's, a lot of my scenes were in the command control center, where she's sort of witnessing what's going on via screens and having a lot of really tough decisions to make.
What's interesting, by the way, is the reality of that. There are Second World War bombs discovered in London, once every 2 years, and it's something that possibly a North American audience wouldn't really know. But I mean, that, because of what happened, 80 years ago, there are lots of them all over the country, particularly London, though.
It happened while we were filming. There was another World War II bomb discovered somewhere, in Belfast, I think, while we were actually, making the movie. So it's very real.
Well, when I worked with David before, I was henchman 1. In this movie, I'm henchman 2. I thought that was that was good. No, I read the script, and I'm a big believer in being able to. I love roles where you can support top actors. It's what I really like. If that's what I can do for service to a story, that's what I'm interested in. And I saw on Theo's part of the story, and Theo is one of the bank robbers. I saw there was an opportunity to provide a foil for him. Aaron's side of the story, he's trying to defuse a World War II bomb, and I wanted to give Theo a bomb. I wanted to give him something to defuse. I've got a working relationship with David, and I thought if that kind of role can help propel your story, I'd love the opportunity to help.
What was it like, kind of working in one genre and then merging it together?
It's very interesting. I came in on set to say hi and to Gugu, and she was in the police station, and it was a frenetic energy, a very visceral energy. But there was a lot of orders, a lot of lines thrown back and forth, it got me thinking, if we can do the opposite of that and make our version very primal and more tactile, that would be kind of an interesting kind of contrast between these two worlds and two genres from an acting point of view. And when you watch the movie, it does feel that way. It feels, every time it goes to the other side, there's a definite shift. It's great because it keeps you on your edge, because you kind of forget what's going on in the other story until you flip back again and realize eventually these two runaway trains are going to come together, hopefully,
Yeah, I mean, it's reminding me of what I loved so much about David's film, Hello, High Water, the idea of sort of a Western, a world of a Western, but in a way that you've never seen it before, and in a way that feels like grounded and with really, character-driven performances. I think for me, how I loved working in all of those scenes is that we did these really long takes. We'd done research. We had great consultants from the police force, from the army, kind of giving us that realism and that authenticity, which I think has been a wonderful process in the film to be able to feel like, there were times filming in London where a police car would go by and I'd be like, is that us or is that the real police? Like, I couldn't tell the difference because the world that David had created felt so real and grounded. And I think that just allows you to really flow, especially when you're in such high stakes moments where, like, a bomb going off. I mean, you almost can't get higher stakes, and to be able to do those long takes, to really feel the energy, and to really kind of have that sense of flow in the set, was really exhilarating, and it just felt, as I say, incredibly grounded and sort of had a grit to it.
The real police cars were the ones breaking the speed limit. We weren't allowed to break the speed limit. The speed limit is like 20 miles an hour in London. So actually, some of those shots in film where the cars are going fast are ones that we nabbed off the real police. Yeah, I mean, it is in a way. I mean, and that sort of partly because of almost all of Aaron's stuff happened in the second part of the shoot, just because of availability. So there was a sort of different world for that, and then in the middle we were with the robbers, and I really like the experience of being in the middle of a scene with whatever it is, and kind of getting lost in that. And obviously, if you're trying to kind of go with authenticity and detail, wherever you are, you're in there, and in the sort of strange, odd tension of this inanimate object that's kind of, you discover ticking. There's a whole different kind of cinematic world that you're exploring. In terms of sort of like the sort of quiet tension of that, as opposed to physically breaking down walls and drilling and doing all that. And I guess that's what I was looking for, was how to kind of find that in the moment.